Well, Valley, thank you very much, and thank you to the desk as well for breaking that one down for us. It's been a while since we got to see Canadian in here, and while I have no doubt that he's going to be the story of this matchup, Michael, there's a lot more than just one person that's going to have an immediate impact. And I have no doubt that if they've been able to get a good system going, that Canadian himself might not perform the best, but his teammates will thrive under that. Now, pity Mirage having to be the first team to potentially deal with this, but this is a potential huge storyline if Mirage can come in and knock DZ off their stride.
Parker, I think it's going to be a huge storyline either way. Frankly, I don't know what to expect going into this. I think often when you have players coming back from retirement, they tend to have a little bit of a slow start. And I don't think this is going to be the big blowout, the great coming of Canadian once more he returns. I think this is going to be just that, a slow start. It's going to be DZ struggling to figure out how they're going to be, they're going to find their comfort zone. And Mirage, that doesn't mean they're going to play any better, but I think they'll probably have a standard Mirage game. Now the question for the community is, can Canadian clap Dream in his R6 NAL return? That's the community poll question. It's basically DarkZero's Canadian versus Mirage's Dream.
They've made it vague again, Michael.
They have made it vague again, Parker. They've
made
heard
it vague again. What does it mean? Can he clap Dream? Does that mean that he just beats him in 1v1s? Does that mean he does a better job on the scoreboard?
Does he have to clap him? Does he literally have to go up and clap Dream?
Will he physically go over and challenge him to a duel by one hand clapping him in the face?
Well, that would be
Production, can we get clarification? Are duels allowed on stage? Just
yeah, they made it vague again.
Shout out to Rhodey. I believe he's the one who makes those questions, by the way, and he gets very upset when I make fun of his questions.
I would hope so. But the last one was so literal. I had a lot of faith, Parker. That built up a lot of, simple questions, simple answers. But nope, we're gonna go into Clubhouse though, as it remains confusing for everybody.
I'm excited to see Clubhouse again. Just like Coastline, this is one of the maps that got a minor touch-up. And you'll notice that the big focus was on what used to be that bar stock bomb site on the first floor, now just affectionately referred to as Bar, as we call it. But let's get underway. DarkZero will be starting on defense. That means they get the first and last bans. We see Thatcher and Flores bans an awful lot these days, and well, Capitao is gone. He's not going to be available. If a Wamai ban follows, then that kind of renders them both useless because Capitao is countered by that Wamai. Not so much the Jaeger.
It's going to be
force your hand.
Habana, the second attacker banned out, the only hard breacher. And Habana is a sensible ban as far as hard breachers go on Clubhouse. As I'm sure most of you know, she is the best attacker at dealing with those drop downs. So get her out of the way. You don't have to think about it as much. Get rid of Valkyrie. That's standard fare. Maybe a Mira, maybe a Wamai here. Maybe a Kaid. When you have the Habana ban, sometimes you get rid of the Kaid, make it a little bit easier. One thing I will say is that Thatcher's not banned. So, that makes sense. I was about to say, the Thatcher's not banned. So the only real counter is a live counter, and the only live counter is Bandit. So, yeah, it's a sensible last ban, although we don't see it very often.
Well, I mean, Bandit's pick rate has been very, very high with the changes that were made, and a big part of that is because of the nerf to mute. So for those of you that haven't been keeping up to date with exactly what happened during Crystal Guard, well, one of the big changes was that mute now has a height limit on his mute jammers. You can't just put down a mute jammer and it will no longer stop anything going on that wall. No. The top portion of the wall, the top of the reinforced panels, are now unprotected, which on a map like this is huge. An Ace or a Habana can very easily use those hard breach charges on the top of those panels, basically rendering mute into more of an area denial and intel denial operator than the old hard breach denial that he used to be. That means more falls on the shoulders of Bandit and Kaid. And Bandit's pick rate on this map surged over the last 2 playdays, so don't be too surprised if we see more frequent Bandit bans moving forward.
Yeah, the mute change essentially shifted us from "you shall not pass" to "you must be this tall to enter," and it's really shaked up the counterplay utility meta for the defenders, especially apparent on maps like Clubhouse. But one thing that's also interesting is not only do we have that ban, but we've got Mira in play here. You got Kaid as well. Mira's actually going to be brought this round, but there's a lot of layers of denial that are going to be a factor here. Layers of information that are going to be a factor for both of these teams on the defensive half. Now, of course, Thatcher is making his play, and with Thatcher as a factor to consider, it makes denying walls and drops really quite difficult for the defenders.
This is something we've seen a number of times now. Loading will try to open this up, and NJR could have stopped him inside of logistics, but no, there goes the hatch, and with it, a piece of map control is the bottom floor defense, and DZ are investing heavily in roaming upstairs, unsurprising. This is something that Canadian helped with the rest of SSG and Coach Lycan in popularizing, which is that old SSG roam, but this is not the case now for DarkZero, as they don't have every single operator that's present. Canadian is likely to be the only operator that will be playing deep nestled in the site on that Mira play, and Nyx will be the first one in. He almost capitalizes off of it, but Eclipse says nope, and Nyx dies early on. The win condition for Mirage is to ensure that Nyx is not going on kamikaze missions as he has before. If he can trade himself out or get some kills in the process, then that will really help. That's a hell of a shot from Eclipse, as he's feeling 90 seconds in, and he's already made himself known on that first floor.
Beautiful play there from Eclipse with the two-piece. And there's going to be more action coming right now as the reload from Thomas is ill-advised. And JR will take him down. One inside of Garage here. That's, I think, Benji. And Dream is somewhere else entirely. And it's a 2 versus 5. One thing I want to talk about briefly here, since the result is all but definitive at this point. Ow, no, maybe I spoke too soon. That's a good kill there for Dream. NJR hits the floor. DZ have lost their first player, and there's 50 seconds left for these last 2 Mirage players to get the kills and bring their team back in to this round. And with the control by Lounge and the fact that they've met up, that is looking more likely than it has for the rest of the round.
Well, this is going to be a death drop here. Even if they manage to open up any of these hatches, you're going to be finding yourself in a tough spot. But Benji might take the fight straight to them at the bottom of main stairs, applying some pressure and disallowing a rotation from DZ towards that bottom doorway that is barricaded. That's just an extra step now for Mirage to work through, and they don't really have the benefit of time whatsoever. Down goes Benji, and then Dream will follow, and, well, they definitely didn't have the benefit of time one bit, because in very short order, DZ finds the final 2 players and quite easily takes round number 1.
So what I wanted to talk about in the middle of that round, and what I think is still relevant toward the end, now that we have our result, first round for DarkZero, is something else that does happen when you bring on a player to your roster that you, as an individual player, have confidence in. So now that Canadians join DZ, there is the side effect, potentially, that the rest of the DZ players are just more amped up. That is, frankly, something we've seen a lot of times throughout history, where you get that one player you just think is the best, the darndest. You've admired him from afar before. You've wanted him on your team for years and years. And Canadian is that player to many people in the NAL. He's been around for too long not to admire, and he's had too many accomplishments. So sometimes when you get someone like Canadian on your roster, it can amp you up. It could get you on point. And that last round, I know it's just one round, but the precision and the confidence that I just saw on display from Eclipse is not typical Eclipse from my observation. He has always been precise. He has not always been that level of confident, and I love to see it. And it's been there before. I hope that it's not a fleeting thing. I hope that he can keep that up, and the rest of DarkZero can follow suit. We'll see. But I just wanted to make that observation.
Thank you for making it.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Up to CCTV cache, they are gonna go, and, well, Bandit is unavailable. He's actually banned out by DarkZero, so they know how to play around this. That was a funny little spectator perspective, because of the way that we were looking at the first floor. That looked like Thatcher was 4 times the size of a normal operator.
I didn't see.
Did you catch that?
No, I didn't see it. But the
It's
perspective
giant
is
Thatcher! He'll go back. I'm sure somebody will clip it. It was just Thatcher vaulting up top. Anyway. Already the panel's been opened up, so the Electroclaw, the Electro Shuffle that would have been going on is not there. I'm curious as to whether or not Eclipse's intended targets for those Electroclaws were on the 2 garage panels, because he sits in a position on the rafters where you can toss down an Electroclaw at your feet, and the radius around it is going to catch those 2 panels.
I believe they were, Parker, as he did manage to deny part of one of the walls. I'm not sure if he got the second. We haven't seen it yet. Hopefully we will at some point. See? And he didn't manage to deny the crouch, so that's a full entry there for Mirage. With that, they're going to be able to get their way into garage. They've also got the main breach open from earlier, much earlier in the round. I don't think he was trying to deny their main breach. It's kind of an effort of futility when you've got Thatcher up, and down goes Thomas. He's done his job, but he's on the floor. No guns for this round. And, oh, Nick takes a lot of damage. A second for Pamba, and a third. Down goes Dream. It's just loading in Benji now. And this has been a complete lockout from Pambazoo and DZ.
Well, not exactly the result that Mirage wanted. 90 seconds in, and they have completely lost the plot. At this point, is there even any hope? Diffuser surrendered. It's a Thatcher and a Zofia still upright. And they're going to give it the old college try, but if I'm Mirage, I'm not sweating if I want to use this. Oh, do potentially take some time and center yourself. Canadian, by the way, has been vocally critical of the Roni, and I think he's the first Mozzie to use the Commando that we've seen in a very long time. His first, or well, rather, his first real contribution in this round is over by Barbar. And now Benji, he'll toil with Eclipse, but DZ ends up getting the flawless off of it anyway. That round was a mercy killing.
Wow. Yeah. This has been the really dominant DZ that many hoped would happen. But interestingly, we have had... We've had all the utility kind of work for Mirage. That's the curious thing. They got both of the breach. They got every breach they wanted open there, right? And basically Mirage accomplished nothing from it. Sino is just relaying this, by the way. The second Electroclaw was on the main breach. I think that's futile, but especially with Thatcher in play. But I mean, it doesn't really matter because, as I just said, all of the stuff that Mirage could have wanted open was open. Except for maybe construction wall, but that wasn't a focus for them, so I'm gonna ignore that. And yet it didn't matter. They got no picks off of it, no pinch, no follow-up to that entry, because DarkZero is just playing their positions confidently and well. They're peeking into engagements they know they can win, and they're winning them.
Well, if they assess that Mirage's entry play is not particularly strong, and this was something that the desk talked about as well, and actually went to great lengths to highlight about Mirage, in the sense that, well, if Nyx is dying too early, and Dream is not being particularly successful on Hard Breach, and Benji has gone quiet, Benji was the big saving grace for this team through the last stage, then you can very easily take the fights to Mirage, and with great confidence, you can win them more often than not, and really abuse it. It's like the teams that used to take too long to do site setups, and then you would have other teams read into that and immediately just push bomb sites in the first 30 to 40 seconds. Was it particularly well coordinated? No, not necessarily. But you knew that that was their weakness, their Achilles heel. Early on this time around, it looks like Nyx understands this. He wants to try to take the fight directly to DarkZero, and he makes it in the first 30 seconds, but he has no intel. He's going to be playing off of himself and himself alone on this gym bedroom defense.
I love the setup that we're seeing from DZ, by the way. I just have to highlight it while I have an opportunity to do so. They are extending below, and they're doing it in such a genius way. There's too much going on for me to pick it apart, but I love everything about it. The angles from above, the control on the staircase, everything that they're doing here, it's pretty cool. And we'll get to that later, I'm sure, on the analyst desk, but you can see Mirage has realized the issue, and they're trying to address it directly with these gas charges. They are going to do a great job as Hyper goes down, and that's actually going to prompt the drop from Canadian, who will descend into the basement. And now he will have to play flank for for the remainder of the round, as he's pretty well trapped and like isolated from the rest of the site.
Hyper's been quiet so far through these 3 rounds, and he was the first pick there, so obviously he's not going to be able to exert his influence on this round whatsoever, but the flank from Canadian could be incredibly important, especially if there are gaps for Mirage, and we saw it, actually, in the Mirage matchup against Space Station on day 1. There were times where Mirage were having some significant stumbles with being able to coordinate, especially through the mid-round. DZ no doubt read into this. So if they can hold things together and not bleed through their numbers, which, of course, when you bleed through your numbers, it puts your opponent in a major advantage for flank watch, then, hey, you might be well-suited to deal with it. That's just a lousy gun not doing enough work to Benji. That should have been, with almost any other weapon, a kill for Pambazoo. But there goes Dream. All right, NJR finds 2. He takes the fight right to construction. A third one is within his grasp. Set the window. Peek, peek, peek. There you go. You got it. Walk away. NJR showing exactly why he was such a hot commodity, and there goes Thomas as well. Mirage were able to wrestle that first kill away, but now they have surrendered every single one since. Other than getting Pambazoo, NJR finished off Benji literally on 1 HP. He's inside of construction with 10 seconds to go or thereabouts. Diffuser is not within his grasp. Canadian still lurking below, but Eclipse was posted up watching the doorway, and it's a perfect 3-site rotation for DarkZero.
Yeah, that was the first round where we saw even a little bit of life from Mirage, but NJR really locking that one down. Beautiful play. Just 3 separate 1v1s. And see, that's on Mirage, guys. That's Mirage's fault. You can't give a player as individually talented as NJR 3 completely isolated fights. Take them as a team. That's what you're there for. You're supposed to work together to get that pick. And he's in a somewhat exposed position by the master bed. But no, Mirage, they let themselves fall victim to the NJR machine. And that's 3 in a row, as you mentioned, Parker. Flawless cycles, we like to call it. And, I mean, that's tough. It's exactly the right time to take your tactical timeout if you're Mirage. You really cannot let that keep happening. You've got to fix the problem.
It's a very early timeout, and it doesn't really put you in a good spot should things get a little bit better here, but then you go back into free fall. You do not get 1 timeout per half. You get a timeout per map. That's it. So Mirage already using theirs. If DarkZero needs to pull a timeout, then the coach of Mirage, Christian Guerra, he'll be able to talk to the rest of the team and obviously help them out. We don't see any bar, so we'll go back down to Church and Arsenal, and well, or technically Armory. I always forget the official term for it because we don't ever call it. But
Arsenal, Armory, it means the same thing in essence, not literally. There's a separate definition for some highly specific.
You're being pedantic.
Exactly, you have to be pedantic to draw that distinction, frankly.
Oh, okay.
Or you have to be a specialist in a field where it's relevant.
Neither of us are linguists. We don't talk about that kind of stuff, so... Anyway, it looks like right now we are going to see a different setup from DarkZero. So if they worry that Mirage has read into this at all, well, that won't be the case because the heavy roam that DarkZero brought back in round number 1 is gone. Instead, their lineup is full of chunky boys and chunky girls because Mira's in there as well. They're going to be bringing Echo, Smoke, Kaid, Jaeger, and Mira, which suggests to me that they are going to be playing a pretty typical defense here on Clubhouse. Waste time. Expect that it's going to take Mirage about 2 minutes to drone out the entire map and then realize where they need to go and hope that you have that information available, be they through yokai drones, be they through black mirrors, to deal some serious damage. There are no actual intel devices being brought. Valkyrie's banned out. There are no maestros, and there are no bulletproof cameras. So all you're going to have at your disposal, other than that yokai, are the black mirrors to play off of.
Yeah, and I think that's something worth keeping in mind. But there are 2 hard breachers for Mirage, and those 2 hard breachers are going to be a major factor to consider when it comes to countering the mirror windows. The most important thing, though, is that you need EMPs usually to get those mirror windows open. If there's any kind of denial, for example, Electric Claw on that one mirror window by Church. So make sure you don't use those EMPs too liberally. Loading, keep at least 1 in your pocket ready to get the wall and Church open. That all depends on how Mirage want to attack this, though. So, see what their plan is. Ooh, 2 EMPs used right off the cuff just to get the 1 drop open. And they're successful. And oh no, the second EMP was in fact to help the Selma in opening up the mirror window, just as we had discussed. They're going to get that mirror window open, and a nice shot from NJR will punish the play at the bottom of main stairs. Good leadoff kill for DZ, and they once again find themselves in control.
This is really rough. Averaging 1 kill a round right now for Mirage, Michael. That is a dismal effort that we see from them. And I mean, the good news is that there's not much they could be doing worse. So there's tons of room for improvement. And I mean, right as I say that, they just waste a grenade and then, hey, they managed to get a freebie. Nick's waiting on that same opening for NJR to peek him, and he capitalizes off of that quite well.
Now, with Mirage evening things out, we're getting down to the last 60. And good aggressive play by Blue here for Benji. He could definitely pounce and flank. It's on Hyper to hold this down. Hyper has yet to get his first kill, so that's a lot of pressure to be feeling such an important position. Gas canisters for Moto, C4 out, and it'll work. Pambazoo gets Dream. A very important kill. No follow-up, though, as he misses his shots onto Nyx. Difficult to hold. Benji, though, from Blue, he gets the kill we just talked about, but Hyper finally finding the scoreboard. It's just loading as he pushes out from Moto. He's got control, but Eclipse will shut him down. And DarkZero, that's 4 rounds in a row.
This is really daunting stuff for Mirage. So either the wheels have completely fallen off of Mirage or DZ are just playing at a different level. Keep in mind that DarkZero did seem to be North America's best shot at the Mexico Major until tragedy befell them. But they obviously made some significant changes. They bring in a new IGL, and whether or not this is still a similar setup to what they had before, whether they're still playing the same system that they played previously, is something that we can only gain in a post-game interview. And right now, with the way it's going, it certainly seems like DarkZero is going to put us into that interview much sooner than I think any of us anticipated. But not to be overshadowed by DZ's success, because they look mighty good, and I don't think we need to really harp on that too much. Mirage, on so many of these rounds, just look puzzlingly lost. And they are playing at a level that we know they are much better than playing at. So I don't know exactly what is going on with Mirage right now. We have seen in the Oxygen matchup, it took them some time to finally warm up. Maybe that's it. But right now, the changes from Mirage that we've seen was a 3-7 loss to SSG, it was a 5-7 loss to OXG, and now it's 0-4 against DarkZero in this third matchup. These are not numbers that you want, and Mirage are in serious trouble.
Yeah, this is shaky stuff here, Parker, and they need to correct for sure. One of the most important things I got to point out here is that, yes, DZ is on defensive clubhouse, but Thatcher is in play. I mean, your worst ban here on the attacking side is Habana. Capitao is going to affect you in 2 sites, maybe. Probably just 1. That's this site we're at right now. Mirage looks like they're setting up for a potential rush in through the balcony. I'm not sure if they're actually going to go through this. They could hear the electric cloud that was just placed. EMP will come out. Dream goes to the placement. Is this timing correct? It looks like it is. And open sesame. The wall is now available. Benji rushes in. He's got server control. It's a vault through server window as well. Mirage pick up 2 to answer the 1 from DZ, and the plant is going down in the corner. Gas canister goes a little too far. Dream will get this down. We're looking at a post plant here, Parker, as Pambazoo shuts down Benji, trying to control from server window. Mirage now far afield as they try to play this post plant. DarkZero find themselves in a position where, yes, they can retake. They've got the information from the heartbeat sensor, but boy, howdy, is this going to be a difficult one. Thomas on rappel, good kill. Loading downstairs gets Canadian. It's just Pambazoo from Tuck, and down he goes. Mirage, well, they have looked absolutely limp through the first 4 rounds. They make it happen on the 5th.
I didn't say a single thing that round, by the way, because it was done so quickly. And that was it. And I feel like I almost predicted the future 2 rounds ago, Michael, saying some teams read into these defensive setups and realize, hey, we found a pretty glaring hole in their defense. Let's just run in. And that's exactly what happened. They open the breach. They push in. There's only 1 player from DarkZero holding off on that spot. They die early. The remaining players from DZ who are able to fight back are over by Cash Construction and playing by Red Stairs. And they just frankly don't have enough control. I think 1 player from DZ was inside of Garage at one point, but At that particular instance, you're fighting on the peripheries of a bomb site. You are nowhere near the focal point, and you will have those attackers who are now playing in defense, defending that diffuser, watching from those angles to stop you from being able to push out and get back to the bomb site. By far and away, the best round that we've seen out of Mirage. Well coordinated. They held it down effectively. That is a bomb site where once you go into a post plant, it is an extraordinary challenge for defenders to get you and to take you down, mostly because you're going to have somebody out on that balcony playing on rappel. They're going to be extremely hard to shake off unless you attack from that kennel's door or you also go through blue window. There aren't a lot of avenues for you as a defender to do too much. So yeah, of course, some of it goes to the bomb site helping Mirage or the exterior of the bomb site. But I think DZ are going to be wise to it this time, and this will be a real test as to how things are going to go, as the very final defense for DarkZero is going to go back to that same bomb site.
Yeah, DarkZero clearly thinking to themselves, yeah, we know what we did wrong. We can fix that. Not a huge deal. And they'll try this cash defense once more. Cannot blame them, frankly. We all know it went wrong. You can counter a rush play like that. You're not going to let it happen again. Mirage are trying something entirely different. This is no longer a rush play. It's in fact a hard roam clear. Downstairs, Canadian evading Nyx, who entries through the basement, and he doesn't seem to be aware. But I think Canadian heard the footsteps because he is playing very cautiously. He'll call that out to his teammates, and they'll adjust accordingly.
Nyx still getting droned on in as he tries to find something. He's 1 in 5 right now, which for a formidable leader on this team and somebody playing on these fragging roles, not exactly great. And we'll make it 2 in 5 as Canadian almost catches him off guard, but great reflexes there by Nyx, and Troy Jaroslavsky gets absolutely smoked.
Yeah, he got turned on there, Parker, for sure. I'm surprised he lost that fight. Frankly, it's an odd angle, especially with someone as small as an Ash. Sometimes you could just barely see the shoulder. It's probably what happened to Canadian, though. We can't see his perspective. I'm just trying to, explain the smokage. So, DZ now a man down. But half the round has transpired. All the angles are open for Mirage as well. There's a good bet here that Mirage could be able to turn this into a second, but here comes DZ with the frags, picking up 2 to answer the 1 from Mirage earlier.
Eclipse is still on this mission upstairs, essentially playing to die at this point, as, well, it's Mirage who finds themselves dying instead of Eclipse. Both Benji and Nyx are down for the count. DZ might have sacrificed Canadian early on, but they still have the upper hand when it comes to numbers. So now Mirage, with this final minute of action, will need to determine what their next step is going to be. They've opened up the panels leading into Garage. That's ideal. That's good. That's where they want to be. But your next focus is getting that diffuser into the site. This will put Mirage into a glorified 2v4 with Dream being immobile and too busy dealing with that. And oh no, Dream was tasked with getting the refrag, but he misses by an inch. Loading goes down, and that coverage from Mirage just a second too late is not ideal. Eclipse finally shaken off of his position inside a Garage, so Thomas will need to continue to head up that catwalk and get to the bomb site, as once again, Dream will be all on his lonesome. You see that yellow gas blanketing the entry point, and now Thomas has the cross, but he can't get through. Yes, he can. Never mind. He finds a way in, but he's looking in the wrong direction, and there's too many angles for DarkZero, leaving Dream to do the rest of it on his own, but he's not successful. Once again, just too much of a stalwart defense there from DarkZero, and the first half is 5-1 for DZ.
Oh boy, yeah, that's a solid hold there for DZ. After those initial picks, specifically the one on Canadian, they get a lot safer with their positioning and their play, not affording those opportunities to Mirage that they need in order to open the round up. When Mirage, once again, having all of those angles open, start pushing in through Garage, trying to make a play on the server breach, they're just dying one after another, which is the same thing we've seen from them through 4 other rounds in that first half. The only round that Mirage manages to get through the entire half is the one where they confidently and brazenly just rush their whole team, basically, into server. And they caught DZ off guard. Well done. If you know that's the formula that's going to work, you're not necessarily going to be able to rush every round, because you're at some point that's not going to, it's not going to aid you. But you do need to find something else that you can do. They still needed to make adjustments, and they didn't. Mirage simply didn't. Now going into the second half, there's a lot more potential for Mirage to make a comeback here. Because they're on defensive clubhouse. And even though Thatcher's in play, this is still a very good side to be on for this map.
5 seconds to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? Because Mirage were ineffective on a lot of those attacks, and it left DZ in a position where they didn't need to work too much, whether it be on the roam or on the site. Obviously, the 5-1 scoreline at the top tells a pretty big story, but DarkZero didn't really have any weaknesses. The only round they lost was when they got overrun by Mirage, and I think at that point, Mirage realizes, what more do we have to lose? If we can't win our engagements, if we can't trade out, if our utility play is too little too late, then let's just push in and try to take an engagement early on. Mirage did that. It worked out very effectively, but you're not going to be able to do that same thing now on defense unless Mirage pull their brains out of their skull and just completely roam, and DarkZero don't assess this and hit the site quickly the same way Mirage did to them.
And that's definitely possible. We've seen brain out of skull before at this level. Right now, it's going to be opening up that server wall. 2 EMPs used to make that happen. 1 in the pocket left for Pambazoo. Mirage. Ooh. They've got Jackal still up. NJR is going to find those footsteps, and Nyx is going to be scanned, which will cause problems for them later in the round. But Nyx has to realize he's got an opportunity to go see them, and he hasn't just yet.
Well, his roam play obviously won't be working so effectively with that Jackal in play, but I mean, we've seen Jackals be ineffective in the past, so we don't need to necessarily get ahead of ourselves. That said, this Mirage setup is eerily similar to what we've seen from other teams in North America. Upstairs with the smoke holding that angle, FMG in hand. NJR running down below, and well, Nyx gives his position away, so he'll now head on over to Secret, over towards Blue, where there is a Maverick, or rather, sorry, a Zofia. See, even I get confused with the outlines from time to time. There's a Zofia on Repel. I'm gonna blame the beret on that one.
Yeah, and she's trying level best to get that shield inside of Tuck. It's difficult to do when you've got all those ADSs stacked up, and you can see loading is going to continue to persevere on this position. Mirage still have the roamer of Nyx. They still have full control of their site. They're starting to use their gas canisters a little early here, and the pressure is coming from downstairs, but look at this. Almost 2 for Benji, but Canadian will shut him down. Only having a sliver of HP left, though. That's going to be hard for Canadian in future engagements.
And a big gamble for him to rush in like that. But the smoke is down, which is good because there's nothing else barring an explosion from a nitro cell that can really do that much damage. Though you do need to be wary of the electricity that's still going to persist from that electric claw.
Oh.
Nyx tries to come back, but there's 2 players from DZ holding the same angle. They have that down pat. They're going EMP, and Dream might lose that reticle, but he's able to get away in time. Canadian drops the nitro cell. Dream takes 1 down, but it's traded off. Hyper's on the hunt. He'll circle around, give his position away with that LMG. He's got so many bullets, but he's out-dueled by Thomas, and down goes NJR. It sure seems like the defenders are in a good place here on Clubhouse, as they've now won 6 of the 7 rounds we've played for Mirage. That means that they've picked up their 2nd round, but they've got a hell of a climb to catch up to DZ.
Yes, the rays of sunshine there falling upon Mirage as they get exactly what they need, just 1 more round. We're going to go ahead and pause for just a second while we sort something out. But Mirage getting that round is massive. You get the first one at the second half. You establish that, okay, yes, maybe this is just a defender map, and you place that in every single player's minds. Now, that was one of the closest rounds that we've seen from the attack that wasn't a victory. Regardless of team. But at the same time, a win is a win. So technical pause here just to make sure we get everything sorted out, get everything correctly, lined up and ready to play. It should be pretty short, though. It looks like we got everything fixed really, really quickly there.
Well, I don't exactly know what the issue was. It was a tech pause, by the way. A tech pause, not a tac pause, which is a tactical timeout, which means that maybe somebody's mouse exploded for all we know. So, either way, maybe it could be gear related. Maybe somebody sneezed on their keyboard and it short-circuited. Maybe somebody was weeping such beautiful tears that it destroyed the monitor as the tears hit the desk and splashed up, frying the electronics. We have no idea.
Yep. I think they got the monitor out, though, the new one out really quickly. It's been happening a few times as of late, so it's they were prepared. And we've got basement defense here for Mirage. Mira once again being brought. Thomas has brought the castle. Looks like this is going to be the extended roam, the same one we saw from DarkZero in that last round. So this is probably a defense that has been prevalent in scrims as of late. Although it's really not that crazy a concept. We've seen the extended roam for years now on Clubhouse. And it's just, I mean, it's made easier now that they've changed the bar area, and you could use that as part of your roam.
Correct. So, downstairs, Mirage will go. Their second defense. There's been no timeout taken from DarkZero yet. I want to repeat this for all of you. Mirage took a timeout after the third round, and guess what? It got them 1 round on attack, and so far 1 round on defense, but I don't know if you can attribute that defensive round victory to their timeout earlier on. As for DarkZero, they still have 1 available. Mirage will be bringing a composition that is similar to what we've seen in the past, but the big difference will be this Kapkan. Kapkan does not see a ton of play at this level. Obviously, there are niche picks that we see from time to time. Castle used to be a niche pick before he settled into a comfortable spot. Cap can be used for a number of reasons, and on this map, on this bomb site, your goal is going to be to slow them down before they can hit the site.
Maybe do a little bit of damage in the process, too. Make them think about every doorway they step through, and by they, I mean the attackers. Open goes the server wall as this basement defense is successful in burning utility far off-site, if nothing else. If that wall getting opened up, though, results in a kill or 2 for DZ, then it's all worth it in the end.
It's a time being used in the process for DarkZero to go for a clear, and Nyx capitalizes off of that. He's starting to warm up. 1 and 5 to 3 and 7, so he's gone even over the last 2 rounds, and with that, he gets the opening pick for Mirage as they head for the hills. So waste time, get a kill. Not a bad start for Mirage here through the mid-round.
They've also got the control for DZ, but with limited time. So, yeah, I mean, Mirage looking pretty confident right now. They've got all their defenders back down into the basement, all players up. Generally full HP, except for Nyx. Impact's working. No, actually, he missed that impact. Second one goes out. That one will work. No more Selmas for NJR, and the EXO is being used on the Moto drop, which means flat out, that drop inside a kitchen will not get opened.
I don't know if you see the same, but my feed has crashed.
My feed has crashed, too.
All right, well, we don't know exactly what's going on, but it looks like it. I mean, I just heard a gunshot, so maybe the game is back. We don't entirely know, but there was 48 seconds remaining. Panbazoo was the only person that was dead in the server. It's fully possible, and yeah, I mean, it sure seems like we are very much back in the action. So let's not delay, let's get on in. And the push is coming in at just the right time. Both these teams down to a 2v2, but DZ cleans up right as we get back into the thick of it. And that's match point for them.
Yeah, I can't actually connect to the feed.
You have to restart it.
I did restart it. I can't find it.
I restarted it and it worked.
Yeah, no, it's like I can't find this specific feed. I can find the second one, but not here. I'm gonna restart my parsec. Anyway, yeah, match point there for DZ. They find themselves in the lead, although I can't see it.
DZ are up 6-2. It was a brawl, and there was only 1 player left for Mirage. It ended up being, I believe it was the Mira, who was still upright at the very end, as there was 1 player in down but not out. And the vast majority of the interaction that occurred from DarkZero seemed to be focused over towards blue. So we'll have another tech pause, as it seems like we're getting everything underway yet again. The coaches will not be able to talk to the players during tech pauses, so it's not the same as a tactical timeout. But the teams can at least hit that pause button, not literally, and they can discuss amongst themselves what exactly went wrong and what the next plan of action is. If you're Mirage, this is a big benefit because you are going to stay on defense. You will be the one setting the tempo for the most part. The attackers in many ways are going to have to react to what you set up. So Mirage, who are presently trailing and also on defense, might gain a little bit of an advantage from the fact that they have more time to talk to each other. But I don't know exactly if there's any difference that that's going to make, because right now DarkZero have indisputably been the better team.
Oh yeah, flat out. I mean, I didn't see how they won that last round, but they did, and the odds were stacked against them. So that's a really big win for DZ. The fact that they can confidently take a basement attack on Clubhouse, and this is a map where, need I remind you all, you should be heavily advantaged in the defense. We saw that at least from DZ. Really sets into our minds, I think, the idea that this is frankly just a DZ map. They are looking really confident here. It's also something we need to bring up here. It is proof positive so far of the practice for DZ with this new player of Canadian on their roster, kind of working out. I really didn't expect this. I frankly thought that DZ would take a few play days to find their groove. And I do agree with you, Parker. To an extent, Mirage is not playing great Siege today. Not compared to what we know they can play. But, I mean, DZ are surgical in their precision so far. Their timing is excellent. Their pacing, they're working together. Their synergy, I guess you could say, is top of the line. So, everything's working for DZ. Formula makes sense. The conflicts that some of us might have expected. I mean, Jacob talked about this. I talked about it before. How we were worried there maybe a little bit too many or too many ideas on DZ's side. Possibly conflicts in the direction. That's not proving true. DZ seemed to be pretty focused, and it's great to see when a roster move like one with Canadian works out.
DarkZero looked mighty scary, but I didn't want to punch down in our earlier matchup when we were talking about Astralis beating XSET 7-3. When one team is not quite up to the same level as another team, there is a challenge that we have and observers have to contextualize the results of a matchup. Right now, Mirage are almost comically the same rank as DarkZero, despite the fact that DarkZero has not played a single matchup. Mirage are 0-2 with 0 points, 8 rounds won over those two matchups, and 14 rounds lost. Which means that they're averaging 4 rounds a matchup, which is not particularly good. You're not in the realm of possibility to push it to overtime if you are only winning almost half of the rounds you need. And well, I mean, the 2 rounds that Mirage have right now is certainly nowhere where they want to be, especially with these changes that they made. And while certain players are starting to hit their stride, DZ are just, at this point, they're just a freight train that can't be stopped.
Yeah, they're looking really solid. And you called it at the beginning, Parker. Canadian, as an individual, he's not getting all the kills, but you can bet your bottom dollar that he's playing a large role in the coordination and precision that we've seen from DarkZero so far through this map. There's the leadoff kill. Goes to DZ. Down goes Nyx. Nyx has been the early death for his team, whether on attack or defense, many of these rounds. And he's causing problems in his inability to be potent as a fragger. And we've seen for this from him before. If Nyx is popping off, then Mirage is absolutely in firm control. But when he's not, there's problems. And it puts more pressure on players like Benji to pick up the slack.
Heading into this matchup, Nyx was actually a perfectly even 5-5 on entry. So that's not exactly a bad statistic. And even though the desk talked about it, now we focus on it as Eclipse goes down and Mirage answers back. Nyx has not been the performer today that his team has needed. His 3-9 tally is by far and away the worst on the team. And when he's playing roles where you need to get kills, that stat line is a boat anchor around your team's chances.
Well, the full clear is done here for DZ. It did cost them 1 player, though. Great job to Benji. I talked about he was going to receive the pressure, and he's going to have to pick up the slack that Nyx is leaving, and he's doing just that. So, well done to Benji. Now Mirage are in a similar situation to what we saw the last round. They've got an even man count. They've got firm control downstairs, and the time is starting to run out for DZ. Let's see if DZ can pull it out a second time.
Now, we obviously didn't get to see the full cut and thrust of the execute on the previous round, so we can only speculate as the differences that are coming out now, but the focus for DarkZero appears to be over towards Moto at the bottom of Church. And if you're Mirage, you are going to pray that the hurt doesn't come to you as quickly as it sure seems to be. Because with 10 seconds left, DarkZero have dotted their I's and crossed their T's. They have a good lineup, and loading falls. One more body to be buried inside a blue, but it's Canadian dropped by Dream. And now all of a sudden, DarkZero are struggling to get things together. Mirage are wildly swinging for the fences, leaving Hyper alone. And he picks off Tommy, but the clock gives the round to Mirage. That was an absolute mess, Michael. But the defenders come out ahead. It's still a 6-3 scoreline for DarkZero. But can Mirage be able to start putting some rounds on the board?
Well, the answer is yes, in that they got that last round. Maybe more. We'll find out. Frankly, that one on the clock, Mirage doing a great job of at least putting up a fight. When you're backed against the wall and you know you're in a do-or-die situation, usually we see the best of individuals. And I think that's what we got out of that last round for Mirage. They forced themselves in. They realized there was either a do-or-die moment, and they did. So they didn't die. Hey, well done to Mirage. On the side of DarkZero, that is one of the worst rounds we've seen from them so far through this entire map. I will say that we haven't seen as many rounds as you need to fully judge a team, and it wasn't that bad. It was just poor use of the clock, frankly. We saw the drop starting to get opened up around 40 seconds, and the execute coming in 30. I mean, there's a lot of layers there. Think about also the fact that I actually don't know. I know it was Loading's gas canister, I believe. The gas canister that was thrown to bottom main stairs didn't even make it there. Imagine that makes it to bottom main stairs and DarkZero forced off the main stairs control. That opens things up even more for Mirage. And despite mistakes like that, Mirage still manages to win it just off the clock. It's great stuff. It's good use of your environment and the situation. DarkZero, though, they let themselves get there in the first place, and that's the real problem.
Well, upstairs to the bomb site that usually doesn't work out for most teams, and this is a bit of a puzzling one by Mirage because CCTV cache, the bomb site that they won back in round 7, is actually available again. So you don't need to gamble the match on a bomb site that most teams don't enjoy defending, and the stats tend to show that Gym Master, when played as frequently as the rest, lags behind its contemporaries in terms of defender win rates. And already, very quickly on, 45 seconds in, DarkZero's opened up the jacuzzi panel. They've been able to shake off any denial that was there. I believe a mute jammer was all that stopped it, but an EMP very easily took care of that. Next in the line of defense is Loading, playing inside of the bathroom, governing over that opening with the black mirror in front of him.
Really powerful position to hold, especially with the C4 in his pocket. Loading could do a lot from that position. We'll see if he manages it. He's got Eclipse downstairs, though. If Eclipse does manage to get below, a lot of potential to use those nades to great effect on many different positions, actually, within this site. We'll see if he can do that. He's been droned up, so he knows he's safe up to the at least kitchen hall. Over by Jacuzzi balcony, there is a challenge going on. I believe that's Canadian. He's going to start droning his way in, trying to find out what he's dealing with here. Yes, indeed it is. So you can see this is just light probing from DZ to start things off. They got the wall they need open. Now they're figuring out where they want to hit the site from.
Hyper's waiting. This isn't exactly a flank because he'll be heading up the stairs, heading in the exact direction of where the defenders are, but he doesn't seem as well connected with the rest of this push, all shaping up over by Jacuzzi, and there it goes. NJR, a bit of negligence. He goes down to a nitro cell, but they'll lose the black mirror in the process.
Whoa!
Loading, what a shot on the Panbazoo, hopping up and really taking the fight to DarkZero. This man is a one-man army, and he is currently making them pay for it. They'll have to thread the needle to try and hit Canadian, but the Thermite decides that maybe I'll just go for the fight instead. And he'll survey the wreckage, but there's nobody really giving themselves up. Another body from DZ will fall as a Hyper, and the two players still standing are staring down a Flawless from Mirage. Down goes Canadian and Loading. His third kill. He'll look for a fourth. Onto Eclipse with grenade in hand. Can he be the spoiler? A party pooper, some would say. He takes down Nyx, but they know his position now, and he's basically trapped on these stairs. He has no other way back to the bomb site. No time available. 15 seconds. And Mirage really seemed to understand this defense exceptionally well. They block DZ every step of the way, blunting their entry. They certainly knew something about this bomb site that we didn't, Michael, and they pick up their second round in a row.
Big 4K from Loading as well. That second kill in particular, that's the type of miracle play that changes the flow of the round and gives you the edge that you need to take it. So, DarkZero, they're going to take their tactical timeout. They're going to consider their options here. They only need one round to finish this match and move on and secure those 3 points, but this is looking a lot more difficult now in the second half than it was just a few rounds prior. I will say, had that gone according to plan, Loading gets traded out after he gets a C4 kill by Pambazoo, and you're looking at still even man count, and then DZ should probably be able to collapse into Jim, and we're done. But when you have breakthroughs by players like Loading just now, I mean, it makes such a huge difference.
Hands up, by the way, when you look at this roster on Mirage. Hands up if you would have guessed that Loading would be competing with Thomas to be the best player on the team. Through the 2 games, Thomas, the newest addition to Mirage, has statistically been their best player, but to be fair, the stats have not been particularly good for anybody on Mirage thus far. Loading sat at 15 kills and 18 deaths, while Thomas was at 15 kills and 17 deaths. Loading's issues were more with survivability and objective play than anything else, but I would also argue that Loading has a significantly harder role than Thomas does. So you have to take that into consideration as well. And Loading's improvement over the last couple stages has been talked about ad nauseum by us and people in the community, but it is always something that we have to refer back to because there was a period of time where he was one of the worst players in all of North America. He didn't even really excel all that well when they were playing in the Canada division, but he has come into his own and he's been able to keep pace with tough competitors, and right now he sits atop his team.
Yeah, he was playing real bad for a while there, but it's great to see him correct that. So props to Loading, and right now he is the top player for his team, not in the lobby. He's competing with several DZ players, but yeah, it's good stuff. Now, we're going to a cash defense here. We haven't seen any crazy plays from DarkZero yet on attack. Not anything wild or spontaneous, like the Mirage rush we saw on server. I'm wondering if they're going to keep with the routine here on DarkZero's side, because, I mean, their motto is trust the process, right? And you'd expect that process to give us a pretty, concrete and solid, but also somewhat predictable strategies and plays to lock out a match. They just took their tactical timeout. What's their solution to this issue? That's the question.
I mean, I'm not entirely certain. This is just a very defender-sided matchup.
What the hell?
Sorry?
You're supposed to know everything.
No, we're not. You're the expert, Michael. I'm just the man who says what happens in front of everybody's eyes. You're the one who's supposed to break it down.
See, there's the that's why I'm so confused. I didn't know what my job was.
See, Michael, that's why you were the 2020 Esports Awards Color Commentator of the Year, okay? Because you have a good enough grasp of what you need to do with your job.
I'm pretty sure that I'm supposed to flap my lips, but I'm not sure what's supposed to come out. Well done, Parker. You should be the flappy lip of the 2021 year.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Anywho, this lineup for DZ looking very similar. Plenty of hard breach at their disposal. They've taken out the breach leading into the site, and now falling are the walls leading into the garage. Benji in the same position that he was in before, posted up, and he can very easily govern over the opening as well as the garage door with those toxic canisters in hand. If he can hit the drone, of course, that is toying with him. And he throws out 2 of those canisters, maybe that second one a bit too early on, and Benji, by understanding that the doorway is covered, he can push up to the stairs. If NJR was a second quicker, this could have been DZ getting pick number 1.
Oh, it still could, Parker. As the angle is established, the nade follows in, and there it is! Down goes Benji, the leadoff for DarkZero, and now they have firm garage control. They can extend this into a B-site hit as long as they maintain their man advantage and their control on platform and server window.
Mirage really need to focus on the next steps for DarkZero, and Nyx is on flank, and that might not be great because the numbers currently favor DarkZero. They can stick one player on flank watch if they want. Out goes a Selma. It gets caught by a magnet. Another one could potentially go as well, as loading is playing off of this mirror window, but it's on a soft wall. You can very easily blow that up, and NGR looks like that is the purpose, and that is the point. But he shoots through the wall, and loading stops it for now. Can he get the other Selma in time? It doesn't look like it. It blows up in front of his eyes, and NJR easily punishing him. DZ looking for 3 more kills to seal the deal here. The very first win of the NA League is within their grasps, and they take down Thomas, and Dream goes as well. Nick's the lone man to stop it, but a flawless round from DarkZero seals the deal, and it's their debut in Stage 3 with a big 7-4 victory for DarkZero.
Big is right, Parker. A huge win for DarkZero, and a win for the Canadian fans all over the world. You know they were watching this one, hoping that it would be a true return to form. Well, Canadian was the bottom performer for his team, the only one not to even come close to 10 kills, but it doesn't matter. We know that's not what he contributes to a team, and we all know that he was a big part of that success. Well done to DarkZero, big win there. Mirage, on the other hand, very shaky clubhouse. They're going to need to correct some things on the back end, and hopefully they can get this Stage 3 looking a little better.
Well, they started off Stage 3 losing to Space Station 3-7, so losing to DarkZero 4-7 is at least a small sign of progress, and woo! I will say this, DarkZero looked on defense incredibly well coordinated, and Mirage had no answers whatsoever for the roam play, and then couldn't translate to a successful site hit, even if they were able to shake off the roamers. But when things swapped, Mirage looked far more confident on defense, and you can't even credit DZ here and say, oh, you know, DZ didn't look so great. No, Mirage looked quite okay on defense, and if they can slowly learn and continue to improve, even if they want to keep going to clubhouses, they're 0 for 2 here now through these 3 games. Mirage is making incremental changes that are working, and they are doing all right. They just need to keep that up and make sure their coordination is good enough.
Yeah, well, I sure do hope that they can continue to improve, Parker. The Mirage find themselves down 0-3 through this first bout of games. They still have plenty of time, though. A lot more play days, but that's it for Parker and I for the remainder of the day. The analysts still have some things to talk about with this match, and we'll have 2 more matches right after. We'll talk to you after this break.
What does it take to call next? Follow us for a deep dive into the Rainbow Six community, breaking down barriers, taking you behind the scenes, and showing what it means to level up.
If you want to get better, try reviewing your game footage. Insights.gg's game capture tool makes recording and reviewing fast and easy. With no lag, automatic recording, and instant highlights, it's never been easier to learn from your gameplay. Try it for free at insights.gg today.
Hello.
At the end of Six Invitational 2020, the only thing that I remember is going down there to the main stage and I saw one player more emotional and passionate than the others. Canadian finally won that big trophy with Space Station Gaming, but it wasn't the first time. He's done it before. Continuum, Evil Geniuses, like I said before, he was at the top of NA. But he's looking to do it one more time on DarkZero, and they're looking good so far, beating out Mirage on Clubhouse. We're going to have the one and only Troy Canadian on here with an interview. And it's been a while since I spoke to him, so I'm really excited about that. Canadian, first things first, it is very weird to see you wearing that jersey. Does it feel weird wearing it right now?
I mean, the only weird part was like how much trash talk I sent towards DZ in the past, I guess. But I don't know. I feel like it looks natural. I don't know. It looks good.
It looks good on you, man. That win looks even better for your debut here in the NAL. But I have to ask, this whole time that you're retired, and we're happy you're back, by the way, it just feels natural to watch you on the Roam and on Hard Breach. In order to get back to your playing hand, so to say, when did you start? I mean, have you been playing the game nonstop this whole time, or did you just come back recently?
I did a bit of aim training and like stuff like that. A little bit before before the Mexico Major. I was doing a little bit of that, but actually between when I got back from SI 2021 up until I'd say maybe a week, 2 weeks before the Mexico Major, I literally didn't get on a PC the whole time. I just watched games, read, took care of myself, did my own thing, and then I started to get back into like the aim training, get my mechanics back kind of. But I will say, like, I was thinking about the game the whole time. I was watching every game, stuff like that. That's always been the most important part for me in my role is watching the game a lot and thinking about it, less so playing. As long as I do like my individual work to keep my mechanics in line here and there, it's all good. So yeah.
Your mechanics look good for you being old as heck, but the main question that I've been so excited to ask you is, you joined DarkZero, one of your rival teams, since I've been in the scene at least, and it's so fun to see you work with Mint and especially BC on this roster. What about this team is special to you, and what is the ultimate goal for this roster?
I mean, there's a lot of different things that are special about the team. Like you said, I think Kyle and Brandon are excellent pieces to have in a coaching staff. They both have great minds for the game, and I think obviously both of them being dedicated to, studying teams, creating new ideas for our team, just sharpening our play style. Obviously, it's great to have. As far as everyone on the team, I mean, every single player is incredibly talented. All four of them, Tyler Eclipse and Hyper, they both have a lot of experience, and that also lines up well with some of the less experienced guys in NJR and Pamba. But we have that overall wealth of experience that can help bring the best out of those guys. And I just think, most importantly, everyone's here to learn. Everyone has a really good attitude. Obviously, everyone wants to win, but we're not in a rush. We know it's a long journey, right? Everything's far away. We have plenty of time. We just got to take things one step at a time, do our thing, and we know what we're capable of. We know how to get there, and just gotta go through the process.
Now, Canadian, you know me for who I am, right? So I'm gonna ask this one last question, and then I want you to thank all the fans out there, which is everyone in NAEU, every region out there, because we're all excited. My question is, and then I'm gonna leave the mic open to you to just, say your thanks. When this team hits this peak, will this be the best roster that you would be on?
I mean, I think that's the idea. That's the plan. That's at the end of the day, my whole philosophy is you just continue to get better. I think I'm a better captain and leader than I've ever been. I think I'm a better in-game leader, all that, than I've ever been. And I think that just comes down to more and more experience, learning more. And I think as long as you have a good attitude and learn from mistakes and learn from what you go through, then you're only going to continue to get better. So I definitely think we're capable of that. And also,
all right, and
course,
Canadian, like I said, the viewers, man, show some love, baby.
Yeah, I was about to, man. No, yeah, just thank you all for the warm welcome back. I said it in my announcement video. I just can't wait to see you all again. I've missed being at events in terms of the competition so much, but also just like the fan meets there and just meeting people, and it always brings a smile to my face just talking to you guys and getting to know people. It's always so cool. We're all the same. We all love this game. We all just love gaming in general, and it's just awesome to be in that kind of environment. So thank you all for the support. I hope we can all see each other again soon, and thank you.
The greatest that has done it in NA, an idol to a lot of us. And Canadian, I have to say it, man. I love seeing you back as a competitor. Live in the moment. Enjoy this win. We can't wait to see you back on this main stage next time. And we also can't wait to see what DarkZero has just out there in the future for us. You have a beautiful night, man. And hopefully we have another one of these interviews soon.
Appreciate it, man. You too. Take it easy.
No problem. By the way, fellas, Jesse, and Jacob, Canadian is looking good, man. Back on the sticks, and it's like he's never left. That stat line was just, he did everything that was asked for him. But with the replays brought to us by Predator, I'm fangirling right now over Canadian being on the mic. But fellas, DarkZero, they came and they didn't disappoint with this big win over Mirage for their debut in the NAL with Canadian.
Yeah, really fantastic way to start. I do feel like Mirage was attempting a bit of a comeback attempt when they switched over to defense, but it was something DZ could snuff out pretty easily. I didn't really feel like DarkZero had a problem to sift out in this game. It might have just been the quality of opponent that they had in Mirage. It was kind of an easy first game to have, given all the mistakes Mirage were making, but still, hats off to DZ for a really nice debut game.
A great day for Canada and therefore the world. Good to see Troy and the rest of the boys on DarkZero back.
I can just hear the flag draped around your shoulders, by the way.
Oh, it's been a good day. Yeah, we're happy for DarkZero, of course, Canadian. Maybe the bottom of the scoreboard, but this really doesn't matter. He was a huge part in his team's win today. Obviously doing a lot of that calling from the back lines, and the rest of DarkZero showing up for a big win against Mirage.
Ultimately, Jacob, What are the positives that you saw from DarkZero? I mean, time and time again, we saw NGR making plays, looking as comfortable as ever here on Clubhouse. I mean, Canadian with his roam, he's just so sneaky and tricky. You don't know how to catch him, and he's able to get those really vital kills. I mean, I can go on all day, but what about them really popped out to you?
I think Eclipse showed a more aggressive, confident nature that we've seen, especially on defense. He had a really nice two-piece on that very first round that looked like he was snapping back and forth. He was by himself with almost no support, and he made the play work, and that was what started Mirage's downward spiral. I thought he had a fantastic game. I looked to Panba's 3K in round 2. Like, it just players funneling in, and I thought DarkZero is absolutely the team that's capable of capitalizing off of very basic fundamental mistakes, and Mirage, unfortunately for them, made a ton of them. So when it came to DarkZero's play, they were able to play their own game and like punish really stupid things that Mirage did as they played the game too. Like I said, they tried a comeback when they got their defensive half and got a couple of rounds like scraped through, but it simply didn't matter when DZ was playing that well.
And one of the biggest concerns, and we talk about it all the time because it sets the tone, take a look at the opening kills and opening deaths. Mirage, they won that category, but they were unable to capitalize. And the thing is, Jacob, Mirage, you said that they were playing 1-for-1s. Like, they wanted those 50-50s with no help behind them. And in the long run, at the bigger picture, that wasn't the way to go. They could have handled that way better in order to make this match a little bit more closer, man.
Little bit more. I felt like Mirage were going for slight missed corrections or like moments where they were out of touch with the rest of their team. They wanted some of those plays where it was one-on-one. It's a coin flip when you're in situations like that. And against a team like DarkZero who have bona fide fraggers, it's not going to work. It was running into Hyper or a Panba on a roam. It was finding a chance to maybe go for a 2v1, but it's Tommy reloading at the wrong moment. It just seems like Mirage is so off kilter at the minute. When they're on attack, I genuinely question who's making the play calls behind the scenes because it looks like they're all discombobulated at the minute.
Yes, now Jesse, we actually have a highlight for round number 3 because you've just been so good when it comes to this so far. So what treat do you have for us for this series?
So this is something Kix called out. He wanted it on the desk, but we've got it for him. It's a breakdown of the gym bedroom hold that DarkZero employed. And look at this setup down below. They've got castle barricades on the wall, or on the doorway to the billiards, and on the door that heads to the front entryway. We've got Nyx trying to poke up at this bottom floor throughout the main stairs, but from the default cameras, DarkZero know that it's coming, and Nyx can't really find any sort of a solution. This whole setup down here below with the reinforcement on the right, that moto hatch is going to get opened pretty quickly. The hatch above them, the construction is also open, so there's room for C4s, there's room for drops. This is a really great way that we're seeing DarkZero really adapt to the new changes. The reason you're able to hold like this and you weren't before is because of that gap, that new doorway in between stage and bar that allows that rotate. Just makes it so much easier to play in this area. And eventually Mirage will be able to deal with it, but it's taking them so much time and so much utility. Look at Eclipse up there in the bathroom as well. He's got those mirror windows, and until this bottom floor is taken, you really can't deal with those mirror windows. And as you saw, sure, they cleared it, but so much time was wasted, so much utility was wasted. It was a great setup from DarkZero, and something that you really can't play until those new map buffs come in.
Now, we actually have a community poll, and this time around, last time it was pretty close. But for this one, can Canadian clap dream in his R6 NAL return?
I didn't get this
like
one. I know Rhodey writes these, but like, what does it mean for someone to clap someone else? Come on.
But you
Jacob, you don't know what that means to clap
No, I know
somebody
what
in a
clap
video
means,
game?
but why is it in a poll and why is it Canadian versus Dream? They're not supposed to do the clapping.
Because Dream claps, and
Yeah,
it's the
dude.
wordplay. Jacob,
Yeah.
you need to hang around more hip people, man.
Didn't like it.
Jesse
Didn't
gets
like
it,
it.
and he
I
lives in
love it.
Canada. Exactly. So,
was good.
Jacob, before we saw the results of all of this, how did you think that this poll could have turned
Canadian won the poll.
out? Okay, Jesse, do you want to go with this?
Yeah, I mean, it's his debut, right? Of
Come
course
on.
he won the poll.
Well, Jacob doesn't know slang, but yes, Canadian did
Excuse you.
clap Dream when it came to his R6 NAL return. It feels so weird to say Canadians return to the NAL, but it feels
really good,
so
man.
right. And then not only that, Jacob, we have NVK back. This is absolutely insane. I don't know what to expect. And speaking of NVK and Xset, they're playing against the Sonics next. And Jesse, last time I had Jacob hype this up, but if there was anything about this match that you would say to get the viewers kind of interested to watch it, what would you tell them?
Listen, we saw one veteran's return, another one looking to continue to get his stats back on track. NVK's been struggling, but Xset with a week off have hopefully been able to fix their problems. On the other hand, Sonic's looking so dominant, looking to continue this win streak for match number 3. Valley, we should be in for a good game.
Jacob, I can't believe you never heard that before. I still love you, though.
That's not what I'm talking. Never mind.
Oh, never mind. So, coming up next, we're going to have Xset going off against the Red Hot Sonic, second place in the NAL. Can't wait to see how that turns out. We'll see you guys on the other end of this break.